to the short-term production function. When we talk about the short term, in the short term, there's always going to be one factor of production that is fixed in the short term. So mostly in the short term, we cannot always have all the factors of production the same way now. So it's always going to be mostly capital. It's difficult to change in the short term. Example is factory, increasing the numbers of machines you have. These things are difficult to change within a short period of time. That is the short term. When we talk about the short-term production function, we're simply talking about how production increases within the short period of time using all the combination of inputs. That is production function. There's production function, which simply means that output is increasing. Or we started with something, or we started with nothing and it started increasing over time. That is the function about. So here the short-term production function. It shows how a firm's total output changes when only the variable inputs, which is mostly labor, is increased, while at least one input, like capital, is fixed. So we have labor, which we can as well easily increase. But capital, which is equipment, machines, are things that cannot be easily changed over time, especially in the short term. So the short-term production function is a typical representation by an upward sloping graph or curve that increases at a decreasing rate, reflecting diminishing marginal returns. So the production function is just telling us how the combination of inputs will bring about increase at the beginning, and at the time it will remain constant without changing. That is what the short-term production function is about. So, what are the components? What makes the production function? We have the fixed input, the variable input, total product, and diminishing marginal product. So we're going to start with the fixed input. Why do we call it fixed input? It is a fixed input because this factor of production remains the same. You can't change it quickly within a short period of time. It's fixed, like capital, equipment. So I have factors of production that cannot be changed quickly in the short run, such as the size of the factory, the size of the school. We can't increase it now. We can do that maybe during the summer, but right now we can't. The size of the factory, we cannot change it within a short period of time. It's fixed. Or numbers of machines, because it is expensive to get equipment and machines. So you might not have the financial capability within the short period of time. So that's fixed input, which is part of the production function. Because we're talking about the short one. And remember, the short one has the fixed input, the variable input, the total product, and the diminishing marginal product. So for the fixed input, we're simply talking about the capital, which cannot be changed quickly within the short period of time. Are you here? Then we have the variable input. Why do we call it variable input? It's variable input because it can be adjusted with output. It changes as output changes. So here I have factors of production that can be adjusted to change output. Mostly commonly labor. Labor is somewhat variable because we can as well get numbers of, we can increase the numbers within a short period of time. But for equipment, we might not be able to do that. So the combination for the production function, we have the fixed inputs, we have the variable inputs, then the total products. We're talking about total products.
What is FF?
Where?
Fixed.
This is I. Fi, fixed input. Then we have the variable input, which are which are resources that can change over time, especially labor. Then we have the total product. For total product, the total quantity of goods and services produced with a given combination of inputs. So for production, I told you earlier, production means inputs, output. Here we have the process. So the combination of these gives us total products.
Yes.
Do we get it?
Yes.
The combination of input and output gives us the total product. With a given level of inputs, not added value. So I think the point is clear here, right? Then we have the diminishing marginal product. Why do we call it diminishing marginal product? We call it diminishing marginal product because this is the point at which additional unit of variable like inputs adds less to total output than the previous unit, causing the production curve to flatten. So the point here is that output increases. As soon as more workers are employed, it is expected that output will increase. at that point in time.
You
But
explain the diminishing.
diminishing occurs because as input is being added up, it is expected that output increases. But output stop increasing at a point in time. That is diminishing. So look at it here. The point which with each additional unit of variable input like labor adds less to total output than the previous unit. Before now, we are able to produce at a certain level. So let's look at this now. Before now, we produce at 0, which means we cannot produce without numbers of workers. So there's no production without labor. You stop writing this and you're pen down. We don't produce without number of workers, right? Okay. So the point is this. As soon as we can't have production without labor, so that means there's no production without employing workers.
Yeah.
So that's why the production function will start initially at 0. But as soon as numbers of workers increases, it is expected that the output starts increasing. Get the point here. We start at 0 because there's no production without the numbers of workers. As soon as the numbers of workers increase, output is expected to rise. You add more workers, output continues to rise. There's going to be a stage at which output continues to increase and it becomes flat.
No.
It doesn't move further. It starts increasing at a slower rate
Less than the previous.
than the previous. But what happens then? Firms are paying more workers, but output is not increasing. That is the point of diminishing returns. You are paying more workers, but output is not, it does not reflect in the total product. It's supposed to reflect in the total production, but it's not reflecting. So that is where diminishing marginal returns come in. There's diminishing marginal product because the numbers of workers are increasing, but it does not reflect on output. Do you get it? So look at the graphical representation here. We have output, we have the numbers of workers. So these are the stages of diminishing marginal products. The first stage is the starting point at the origin. Output is 0, numbers of workers is 0 because we are not producing at that point in time. Then, as soon as numbers of workers increases, we have increasing return. For increasing return, it simply means that labor is increasing and output is also increasing at the same rate, increasing return. There is the starting point at origin, which is 0. Then there is increasing return, which simply means the numbers of workers are increasing at the same rate of production. That is increasing return. Then the next stage is what? Diminishing returns. At diminishing return, the numbers of workers are added, but what happens? The rate of growth or increase in output is increasing at a diminishing rate. It's increasing at what? A diminishing rate. Look at the point I said there. Increases at a decreasing rate, reflecting diminishing marginal returns. It's increasing, but when you look at it, when you compare it with the amount of money spent on labor, it doesn't work it. So that point where it flattens is the diminishing marginal returns. It's flat. That means it remains the same over time. And most of the time, it might as well come back to what? Decreasing returns. Do you get it? The 3 stages we're talking about for production function is the starting point, the increasing returns, diminishing returns.
Yeah.
But sometimes, from diminishing returns, it might end up what? Decreasing returns. Is production function clear?
Yeah.
Any question?